Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody, welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Boom! This is a show where we wake with the Saturday morning sun, plopped on the floor with a big bowl of sugary cereal, and watch our favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And this morning we watched Dan versus.
Yeah, I like that this whole thing is just built around this one dude's like severe anger issues.
I thought that would be a problem for me because I have trouble relating to people who are that mad all the time because I know some people like that in real life and they annoy me to no end.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like done in such a way in this show that it was funny and not just like him ranting about everything. I think it's because the things he was mad at were so ridiculous and so specific that it made it comical instead of just like him. Well, I guess what I mean to say is like it's not trying to be topical. It's not trying to be like complaining about the political agenda or anything. It's just like
it's just being ridiculous.
The state of New Mexico has wronged me, so now I need revenge.
I love that. Yeah. I love it so much. And this was brought to us by Patrick Moore via Facebook. So thank you, Patrick, for suggesting this one. And I think this was a randomly chosen one, was it not? I think it was.
Yes. I chose a random number. Yep.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes.
So the show Dan Versus aired from 2011 to 2013, created by Dan Mandel and Chris Pearson, the title character and his best friend, Dan and Chris. So it's funny that it's named after these guys because I think they said something about like it kind of fits the worst parts about themselves, the things they don't like about themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
It was produced by Film Roman, and The Hatchery ran for 3 seasons, 53 episodes on the Hub network. I'm not even sure if I know what that is.
I've never heard of that.
For a short synopsis, a rude, crude, and scruffy curmudgeon named Dan tries to get revenge on anyone and anything that angers him.
They missed the opportunity to rhyme it and say a rude, crude, scruffy dude. Because that's where I thought it was going, and I was like, for a split second, like mad about it, and then I was like, oh, it's going to be awesome if it says dude. But then now I'm just left unsatisfied.
He was cool, but rude, and a party dude.
And then he throws a pizza at you.
Yeah, throws a pizza at the screen. That's the intro.
Kudos to those that understood that joke.
So who are some of the actors who played in this show?
All right, so there's really only 3 big members of the cast, so they're the only ones I'm going to bring up here. But the voice of Dan was provided by Curtis Armstrong, best known to a lot of people as Booger from Revenge of the Nerds way back when, if you remember that movie. He's also made a lot of appearances with roles on Supernatural as Metatron, New Girl as the principal, and has done a lot of voice work on American Dad. And he's been in quite a few other like random things here and there. Usually never a continuous like main character doing voiceover work, but he does have such a unique voice that as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, I think I know who this is. Like I don't know what it is about his voice, but it always stands out to me big time.
Yeah, that guy was a lot more active than I expected him to be. Like, I didn't know that he did anything past Revenge of the Nerds. And then I see him as the title character. And I'm like, whoa, he's been in a lot of things that I've heard. Because I recognized his voice, too. I just couldn't place it.
Yes, yeah. I think my favorite role of his, though, is still Booger from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, totally.
The character of Chris was voiced by Dave Foley, who was best known for Kids in the Hall, Hot in Cleveland, and Spun Out. And then finally, the character of Elise was voiced by Paget Brewster, who has been in a ton of stuff. She's done a lot of live action. She's also done a lot of voiceover work. Some of her live action stuff is things like Andy Richter Controls the Universe, Community, mostly known for playing Emily Prentice on Criminal Minds, which is where I know her from. But she's done a lot of voice work for things like Godzilla, the series, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, DuckTales, the new DuckTales as Della Duck, BoJack Horseman, So a whole bunch of stuff there. She's got a pretty long list of things. Also, she is probably one of the best guests on Drunk History. She's super fun to watch on Drunk History. If you have not seen the episodes with Emily Prentice, definitely, they just call her Emily Prentice. God,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking Criminal Minds. If you haven't seen the episodes of Drunk History with Paget Brewster, definitely check them out because they're great.
Awesome. Yeah, I need to check that one out. So for a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Dan versus cereal, Dan versus cereal. What do you have against cereal,
I like
man?
that. Cereal! He's so mad.
Mandel's original idea was for the show to be a live-action sitcom, but new possibilities opened up once they started development for an animated series. The show was pitched to various networks, including Adult Swim. So it was going to be live action, but then like, you know what? We could do so much more with an animated series. And man, they really did.
I got to tell you, I think I never thought about it until you said the original pitch was to be live action. I could totally see this as a sitcom. I really could. I feel like it would be a sitcom that lasts a half season. Just because it's very hard to get your sitcom to last, but like animated or live action, I would watch it because I feel like you could do some really funny stuff. I mean, obviously we know animation you can. Live action, I would just be interested to see what their plans would be, because it gets so over the top. I think it would just be really fun.
It reminds me, and I was just thinking of this while you were talking. It reminds me, do you know the show, or do you remember the show Get a Life that starred Chris Elliott, the comedian?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I haven't seen that.
So Get a Life, I think it started as like a regular sitcom, like a family sitcom, like starring this guy who, I think he was a paper boy or something, like in his 30s or something. I don't remember. Eventually what it evolved into was him dying at the end of every episode. And it went into some real far off places. Like I think at one point he got abducted by aliens, and just like a bunch of weird random things happened, kind of like what happens in the show. That's why it started making me think of that show as you were talking about it. Yeah. So if it were a live action thing, I picture it kind of being like that show was, except with more anger.
Yeah, I could see that. I that sounds kind of fun, honestly. I'd be interested to check that out. But yeah, like I could honestly see this working in some kind of capacity as a sitcom that I would enjoy for sure.
So the show won an Emmy at the 40th Daytime Creative Arts Emmy Awards for Outstanding Directing in an Animated Program in 2013.
Wow, I never would have guessed this. That's crazy. Like,
yeah.
Here's the thing. Going in, I thought this was going to be bad. And that is judgment only on the fact that I had never heard of it and just seeing one image of the show. And I'm like, I just have the feeling this is going to be one of those short-lived made for adults cartoons that wasn't any good. And man, I was so wrong.
Dude, that is mirroring my opinion of this exactly. I came in really nervous that it was going to be just kind of trash because like you said, I saw this image of this angry guy with a red face and a shirt that said jerk on it. And I was like, what are we getting ourselves into? And the moment I started watching it and it was like Dan versus New Mexico, I was like, okay, what does this mean exactly? And then as it was panning out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous. It's fun.
Yes, exactly.
So lastly, Curtis Armstrong, who voices the character of Dan, would sometimes get so into character he would leave the recording studio legitimately angry and confuse the directors of other projects he was in.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
That's like method acting.
Yeah,
I guess
hilarious.
After you're yelling so much, you just start to really feel it. Your body's reacting to it.
What's funny too is like the actor is just such a mellow, goofy dude. I cannot picture him legit like being angry like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. So you had never heard of this show. I never heard of this show.
Nah.
Let's just get right into it and talk about the episodes. First one we watched was Dan versus New Mexico, season 1, episode 1. And in this one, Dan and Chris set out to take down New Mexico after it damages Dan's car. Yeah. It's
oh
not,
my God.
It's not like a person in New Mexico. It's nothing like that. It's just
New Mexico.
He swears revenge on the state itself. And the plot develops in such a way where it's like, okay, he is actually trying to cripple New Mexico in a way, find its weaknesses.
Can we talk about the art design of this real quick?
Real quick on the art design. It was done in Flash. Okay. I forgot to write that down in the marshmallows.
You know, I wondered about that. And so I have two things I want to bring up specifically. One, I think the backgrounds are amazing. I think they look really painted. They look beautiful, especially like when you're inside of his apartment or whatever. I just love it. It's something with the color and just how everything is so just drawn together in that kind of way. I'm not making a lot of sense, but it just looks like it's all one like painting, like one art piece or something, with the characters and the whatever they're interacting with just kind of at the forefront of it. Mm-hmm. And I loved that. I loved how that looked. And yeah, the characters themselves. So the animation, if this was Flash, the animation looks a lot cleaner than what I would associate Flash with, especially with this not being a current show. But the character design reminded me of a lot of Flash cartoons I used to watch back in the day.
Yeah.
Like Newgrounds and things like that.
Exactly. That's why when I read that, it made sense. I was like, oh, okay, I could see that. But the character designs individually, I like. I think they did a good job on making them look different from one another. They all have their own unique designs. Elise is my new cartoon crush. Like, everything looks really good.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I do want to point out, though, I'm a little sad that Dan looks a lot like me if I just had a soul patch.
Dan reminds me of that old picture of you that you have. I don't remember if you had it online or what, where you had really dark hair and and less of a goatee. So I can see that.
I looked a lot like Dan. If I just had a soul patch right now, I'd basically be Dan.
Supposedly, he was born in 1985, on Halloween of 1985, so he would be our age, really.
Oh my God, yeah. He would be just a little bit younger than me, for sure.
So I don't know what you look like in 2011.
Oh my God. I might have to look it up and see what I looked like then, because this might have been about me. I was an angry guy back in the day, too. Like, I had a lot of anger issues when I was younger. So it's like, oh, man, did they meet me somewhere? Oh, I feel so bad now. Just to give you like an idea of his anger problems, like him and his friend Chris get in a fist fight in the library and get kicked out. That's after he's so mad. And it's not like, so what happens is he wakes up and he keeps hitting his head on the light. He steps on something. He falls down his stairs outside the apartment. His car gets damaged. Just all these things. And then he just decides it's because he lives in New Mexico right now. And he's just swears revenge. So him and his friend Chris, he always calls up.
Hold on. He doesn't live in New Mexico. He lives in California, I think. He just saw parts of New Mexico on his car, on his damaged car. Like there was a piece of cactus.
Yeah.
There was some adobe like dirt or something on it.
Yeah, you're right. That was it.
So he was associating it to New Mexico as the whole state.
So he calls up his friend Chris, who they have a very toxic friendship where Dan's just super abusive and Chris is just such a
he's a pushover.
Pushover.
That's even what his license plate
literally
is.
says.
Yeah.
It's the best. And they start looking up info on New Mexico to see how they could get revenge. And Chris informs him that New Mexico is obsessed with hot air balloons.
They go to the library and the librarian's like, hey, I'll give you this information on New Mexico's weaknesses. But first, this guy over here, see that guy? He is dating my wife, so I need you to take him out, and then I'll tell you. Like, they don't want to at first. They're not trying to, like, hurt him or anything. But then, like, they go outside, and the guy just gets hit by a random truck or something.
By a bus?
By a bus, yeah. And then they're just like, okay, well, that kind of does that work for us. They go back inside. I like when they're like, or the paramedics tell them that the guy will be okay on the ground. And then right when they walk away, they're like, he is not okay.
That happens a few times in this show that we saw.
Paramedics.
They had a lot of like, from what I can tell, a lot of ongoing jokes, which are great. Along with the high air balloons, they find out that New Mexico has a dark and secret history.
Oh yeah, very associated with the devil. Like there's Devil's Basin, Devil's Highway. And then they're obsessed with hot air balloons, like you were saying.
Yeah.
There's the largest hot air balloon launch in the US, at least in October. So that's what their plan is, to sabotage that, to get revenge on New Mexico.
So they're going to go to this hot air balloon festival and sabotage it. That's how they're going to get back at New Mexico. And they go back to Chris's place and talk to Elise. Chris is it his girlfriend or wife? I'm not sure. I think girlfriend, maybe.
I think girlfriend, yeah.
But I would okay, so go into the reason that she joins them. I love this because Elise is such a kind of to those two's idiocy. She's kind of the straight man of the group, and she's intelligent and very capable, but she also has this side to her that is so over the top, which is why I love this character so much. But okay, so tell everyone why she gets involved. What's her beef with New Mexico?
Okay, yeah. So generally speaking, she doesn't always get involved, but when she does, it's because she has some kind of qualm with whatever Dan's problem is, and she's benefiting from it as well. So in this case, we see this flashback of her as a little girl at some kind of carnival or something in New Mexico, and she has her cotton candy. And she gets confronted by this group of roadrunners, which is, it's funny because they even said, I remember Chris saying earlier in the episode, he's like, oh yeah, Elise doesn't like roadrunners for some reason. And they didn't elaborate on it. It was like a throwaway line, but then it comes back to it. And there's 20 plus roadrunners just surrounding her, and they steal her cotton candy. And I think pop her balloon as well.
So they stole the cotton candy, but a cactus randomly moves one arm and pops the balloon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that's why she has a grudge against New Mexico. And she, her and Dan hate each other. More Dan hates her. She just doesn't like him because of his
the way
antics
he treats Chris.
Yeah, how he treats Chris. So, but the best scenes are when Dan and Elise are having to interact. Those are always great. God, it's so ridiculous. They drive into New Mexico, but once they get towards in here it's area 52, Elise asks to be let out of the car, and they just do it. They're like, oh, all right, let her out. She's, I love this thing. Apparently Elise is a ninja. She goes and she sneaks into area 52, and she is just taking out everyone so easily. I mean, it's just nothing to her.
That's
when
it's just
animated so fast. It's hilarious.
That's when I knew that this was going to go in weird directions, was when we saw Elise, like you said, ninja out and then take out this whole base, Area 52. I don't remember what the end of her at the base shows, but she basically at that point takes this alien spacecraft that they had stored there.
My favorite part of that whole scene, though, was when she got to the laser grid, and she's trying to figure out how to get past it, and she looks over and there's a light switch, and she just flips it and it turns off. And she just walks on through, and that was good. Chris and Dan wrestle a trucker for his hydrogen truck.
I liked his line where he's they ask him nicely, excuse me, sir, could we have some of your hydrogen? And he's like, I have one rule about handing out hydrogen. You got to wrestle me for it. And so,
and they beat the crap out of the guy and just take the whole truck.
They take the whole truck. Yeah.
I got to say one thing, this, if you haven't noticed, this is not a show for kids. It's hard to say. There's not necessarily a ton of violence displayed,
and there's no
but there is some violence.
Either.
Yeah, there is some violence, and there's also a lot of implied violence.
Yeah, a lot of talking about killing for sure.
And when they fight that guy, they fall behind something, and then those two get up, and he's just not moving. It's a lot of stuff like that, and it makes it sound like they just beat the hell out of this guy. So they get there, they blow up the balloons and stuff, while the people that participate in it are cultists in this satanic cult, and they're busy trying to sacrifice this lady. But I love when they hear the noises and stuff, and they pull their hoods down and stuff, and they're all just the most super normal looking people you can think of, they're just random people from New Mexico.
Yeah, but in this balloonist cult of some sort.
Yes.
So they lay all this hydrogen out, or they pump hydrogen into all the balloons, and then in trying to light it on fire and throw this lighter out the window, like Dan forgets to roll the window down in the hydrogen truck he's in, and so it just bounces back and lights it on fire. So they have to dive out and like send it into the group of balloons. Everything's blowing up. The balloonist cults are just like crying because of all this. And that's when Elise comes with that spaceship we mentioned earlier. I don't know if they had showed the spaceship previously. I think she just comes in as a surprise with this spaceship.
Yeah, they didn't show it before that. She just swoops in with it.
Yeah, and so she picks them up with it and then starts, Chris is passed out or something, like he gets knocked out in some way. And so she and Dan start to blow everything up with this death ray that's on this spaceship. So they're blowing up New Mexico, different parts of it, and including groups of roadrunners with the death ray.
Yeah, and people
too, except one with this hat that Elise has. It's a whole weird thing.
Yeah, they went into like Santa Fe and they're blowing up buildings and stuff, but then they're looking at people on the screen and Dan's like, get that one and that one. They blow up like an old woman. They blow up some children. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But then Dan crashes the ship.
It's like you say, though, it's implied violence. It doesn't like show any of this like getting blown up. It shows like the person and they like click on the image of it, but you don't see anything happening. So
yeah, it just switches to the next person after. So.
Right. And so Chris is sleeping through all this. Dan crashes the ship. Chris wakes up when they're driving off and they just tell him like, oh, you know, we blew up the balloons and we left and that's all. And then in a weird way, like that seems like that would be it. And then it's like, okay. And I think he falls back asleep. Chris does. And then he just rolls out the door and Dan's just like, bye, Chris. And they just keep driving.
But then Dan Chris's sleeping body gets surrounded by roadrunners with a death glare on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, that was great. I loved that. That was a great piece to it. I'm really excited to talk about this next episode, though, because this was by far my favorite out of the three we watched, because this kind of took the absurdity and went even farther with it. And I love that.
Yeah. And this one I chose because, you know, the Wolfman, I saw this, I had to pick it. There's also one that was The Mummy. So I debated on picking that. That was a season 3 one, but Wolfman's my favorite. So I had to choose this. Dan versus the Wolfman, season 1, episode 2. So it's the very next episode. I don't think there's any kind of like interconnection between them. There might be some continuity to some episodes, but these two didn't directly connect at all. So it wasn't like a big deal either way. You can watch them in any order. After the Wolfman attacks his car, Dan enlists non-believer Chris in his quest for vengeance.
I just love that every episode is just him getting vengeance on something because he's so angry.
I know. I love the way like he screams whatever the title of the episode is. He just ends up screaming it like outside of his apartment.
My favorite. Well, I don't want to say this is my favorite part, but this is one of my favorite like beginnings of anything I've ever watched. When he's just waking up out of bed and he just all he says is, I can't believe how much I hate everything.
Yeah.
That just caught me so off guard. I was like almost in tears laughing with the delivery of that line. Oh, man. It was just the very first thing that happens in the episode.
Yeah. Nothing prompts it. He just wakes up. I can't believe how much I hate everything. And this supermodel comes to his door. He's not like really excited about it or anything. And she just like, if you kiss me, I'll make you pancakes. And so he goes in for the kiss mainly to get pancakes, and she turns into some kind of like hissing alien, which is his alarm going off. And so he's just disappointed that he didn't get the pancakes. Yeah, he woke up from that dream.
Out of all that,
he's
just like, man, could have used some pancakes.
And then he walks out to his car and sees 3 long scratches, like a ball of coarse gray fur and some paw prints. And he's like, there's only one possible prints. Oh, yeah, and sneaker prints. And it's like, there's only one possible culprit. Wolfman! And that's when he screams it.
Yeah, exactly. He calls up Chris, of course, I love that he's reading a book called Toxic Buddy.
Which shows up again later in the episode.
Yeah, it does. He's basically telling Chris, like, hey, you need to get over here. We've got to find this Wolfman. This Wolfman did this to me, blah, blah, blah. Chris and Elise are kind of debating the whole thing. You know, it's kind of funny in that, like, Chris always makes it sound like Elise doesn't want Dan to hang out with him to go on his like vengeance schemes and stuff. But she actually doesn't care about that. She only cares about how Dan talks to Chris and makes Chris do things, which I thought that was cool. I liked that. I think there's just some fun there. But he goes all the way over there just for Dan to be like, yeah, we're going to do this next month on the next full moon. So there was like no point in him actually coming
he's like,
over.
go home. Yeah.
Yeah, go home. I did like, though, that casual line about like, hey, aren't you supposed to be at your court ordered evaluation? He's like, I'm not going. Oh, man.
There's a lot of that.
The next month with the next full moon is Halloween, though.
Yeah. He tells Dan there's no such thing as a wolf man. Dan's just telling him, like, how can you be so naive? Like, of course he jogs. Of course he would wear sneakers, this and that. And then come Halloween night, then when the next full moon is there, like he calls Chris back up, tells him to come on over, even though Chris is like busy handing out candy or / eating candy.
Yeah.
One thing about Chris is like he's always hungry. He's always trying to snack on something. When Chris gets over there, he like hears this kid yelling for help. And Dan's just like, all right, you can go home. I don't need your help. And he's like, no, I'm coming inside. What is happening? He sees this kid with a wolf, like one of those cheap Wolfman mask on, just hung upside down in Dan's apartment.
I love that. Like, he's just so convinced that it's the Wolfman. Chris lets him go and is just like, what is wrong with you? Like, it's Halloween. He's wearing a mask and stuff. They get outside and he sees another kid wearing like a Yeti mask. And then he's like, Wolfman, and runs after him too, like chasing him down.
And when the kid takes his mask off, he's like, he's transforming back to human form.
Right. Even though he sees the mask on the ground. So of course they get arrested and put in jail.
Yeah.
Like, of course. Once they're like let go, Dan has this meltdown because they were giving him all their effects back, but like they confiscated his brass knuckles, which are illegal. It just has a serious meltdown, which I thought was hilarious. And he gets tasered like multiple times, which was great.
Yeah, over his knucks.
Yeah, over the knucks.
The sheriff, or the guy who is at least at the desk, is played by John DiMaggio. Like you can hear his voice, definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that sheriff was I like him. I like that cop. He was pretty good. Because we see him in the next episode too.
He was also reading the Toxic Buddy book too.
Yeah, yes, he was. My favorite part though in this episode is when they're in the car, in Chris's car, driving back. They're having kind of this serious conversation like about their friendship and stuff. Like Chris is finally standing up for himself and like, you need to talk to another friend and stuff. And it seems like, you know, he's finally stepped up, and then an actual Wolfman runs across his car and just is jumping from car to car through traffic. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, you have to be kidding me.
And it has sneakers on too.
Yeah, he's got sneakers on. But the thing that got me the most was when like the Wolfman, you see him get to a red light and he's jogging in place like a jogger because the wolf isn't going to run through the red light. But they just slam into him in the car and you hear that whimper noise. I was like, oh my God.
But then he crawls up onto the hood and scares Chris into, like, freezes him, like paralyzes him with fear. And then Dan's like, all right, get out of the car, and like kicks Chris out and drives off with Dan's car to chase him down. He doesn't find him, but Dan's driving around like doing the whole like Wolfman, come out and play, and then tries to get him. He ends up going to pick up Chris and tells him to go home and find silver and a cupcake. So Chris brings his silver dollar heirloom, and Dan turns it into an arrowhead. And then they go
but
to.
He doesn't have a bow.
He doesn't have a bow, and so they're like, well, we're going to get a bow. And he's like, I know the best place. And they go to some like tribal burial ground and dig up these graves so they can get one of those like old tribal bows, which brings zombies out also. There's so many elements to this show.
I love the thing too, because I was thinking it too, as like maybe they're just implying this, but Chris straight up says like, why don't we go to a sporting goods store? And he's like, I don't have money. So they're just staking this whole plan on digging up an artifact like bow, just assuming they're gonna find one if they dig, and they do. But also the skeletons come after them, the skeletal zombie dudes, which was great.
But I don't think they know yet. Like they just start following them, and then it cuts to the next scene. And Dan's like, all right, I'll see you in a month because we have to wait for the next full moon.
Exactly.
After that whole thing.
The next full moon, they're doing a stakeout. Chris hits a cyclist with his car. Apparently that is a running joke because they've said it in multiple episodes. He's like, oh, I hit another cyclist. And we see those paramedics again. And as Chris keeps going, he's like, oh, maybe I should stop, see if he's okay. And Dan's like, oh, like, you know, I saw him get up. He's fine. And you see those paramedics. They're like, wow, this guy's not getting up for a long time.
Yeah, he is not fine.
He is not fine. They find the werewolf getting tacos from a taco stand, which I love. He gets shot with the arrow, and they follow the blood trail to this just an apartment building. They go up in there, and they find the apartment that this wolf is in. And then Dan's just like, all right, let's leave. And Chris is like, what the hell? Like, we did all of this. And we find the guy and like, we're not going to get more silver and kill him. He's like,
yeah.
All he did was scratch my car. You want to kill him? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, he's like, you have some serious anger issues. And then
they go find his car and key it.
Yeah, they go outside just to, all Dan wants is to get like equal revenge, and just like runs his key along this guy's car. And he's like, all right, kind of wipes his hands of it. The zombies do start coming after them, but they still don't see them. And then the zombie gets hit by a bus. They're just like, all right, well, glad that's over with. No more monsters. And the Wolfman comes out, sees his car, and just does his like howl, even though he's like in human form. That was a fun episode.
Oh, man. Some of these jokes that keep occurring, I just love it.
Recurring jokes are the best ones. And there's one in this one that ties back to the first episode. And I'll tell you when we get there. So the third episode we watched, and the last one, was Dan versus the Telemarketer, season 2, episode 13, which was the highest rated show. And what surprised me about this when I was looking at just IMDb before we watched the show was how high the ratings were. It was all like 8+, and this was like a 9 point something. And I was really surprised coming into it because I was assuming it was going to be a bad show. So I was like, wow, there must be just some really devoted fan. But now I understand, like, I get these ratings.
Exactly.
In this one, harassed day and night by an unyielding telemarketer, Dan sets out to get even, only to find himself the target of a previous nemesis planned for retribution.
And I'm guessing that might be one of the reasons that this is the highest rated one, is because it's like taking a character from a previous episode and bringing it into this one, where some of these episodes seem like they don't have continuity. And here we see that there is some. So I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just getting that vibe that this might be contributing to why this is the highest rated. Because there was an episode called Dan versus Dan, and it was a guy impersonating him and stealing his identity and stuff. And that's exactly who this guy turns out to be.
Okay, cool. Then, yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, he's just getting all these telemarketer calls, and he's going to hang out with Chris and, you know, plotting revenge when Chris is just like, yeah, telemarketers are evil, soulless creatures kept alive by evil magics to plague the world of the living. And then Dan's like, weren't you a telemarketer? He's just like, those were dark times.
Oh, man.
And so
I was almost a telemarketer, man.
Oh, me too. I almost did that, too.
Yeah, well, and I didn't. I quit like an hour before I started. But like, here's the thing. Here's the quality of that job. I was in high school and I did something really stupid, making fun of somebody on a skateboard, and I fell onto asphalt and I got scraped up everywhere. Went ahead and went through the school day, but I was bleeding all over the place. And I had this job interview right after school. So a friend gave me a sweater, even though it was like super warm out. So I get to this job interview and just covered in sweat and like bleeding through this sweater. But this woman that interviews me, we sit down and like you can even see like blood around my wrists and stuff, like sticking out of the sleeve and stuff. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And taking that sweater off was hard because it started to scab and the scabs were going through the cloth. Yeah, it's so gross. But this woman has the thickest glasses on I've ever seen, and then also whips out a magnifying glass and holds papers right up to it. So I'm like, she can't even see that.
She doesn't even know you're a bloody mess.
She has no idea. So yeah, that was the interview for that job at a telemarketing place, and I got it within like within 5 minutes of her asking questions. She's like, well, you can do it. I mean, I don't know. But I ended up like the day before I was just like, man, I don't feel like going and doing that whole work thing. I'm just not gonna go.
Yeah, mine was like I went for the interview, but I had come from something else and I didn't have like dress clothes on or whatever. And so the lady who was there was just like, why don't you come back tomorrow or something dressed a little nicer? And so I was like, all right. And so instead, I just go and apply somewhere else and get my job there, which was like,
Nice.
I think it was Starbucks at that point.
Get that barista money.
It was a much better choice.
That's hilarious. God, we are horrible people sometimes, and I love it. I love how ridiculous we are. What I love about this is when he appears in Chris and Elise's house. So he, like you said, he keeps getting called by this telemarketer. Chris puts him on a ultra like special do not call list thing, but he gets a call in the middle of the night, talking about Dan, and they're like, "Hey, congratulations, you won a prize." And Dan's like, "Oh, great, what? Finally." And they're like, "You're on our special call all the time list." So that's when he, declares his vengeance against the telemarketer. And what I love is like next you see Chris and Elise in their bed sleeping, and you hear some noises, and she's like, "What is going on?" And she picks up her sword, her ninja sword, because she's just a ninja, walks into the living room, and Dan's casually just on their couch in his boxers and t-shirt watching TV. And he's like, "Oh, hey, Elise, couldn't sleep either." And like, for whatever reason, that was like one of the funniest things in the world to me. I just loved the nonchalantness of that whole situation.
This isn't the first time this has happened. Like he's used to. Yeah. And I don't even know. I was trying to see what he was watching. It looked like a weird horror movie with some kind of doll or mannequin or something. Because it was live action on TV. I just could not tell what it was.
My guess is it was supposed to be a horror movie, like a mannequin thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wonder if it was some kind of like deep cuts thing where if you knew what it was, it would be even funnier.
Yeah, I'm sure. I also love how mad Chris gets about the cocoa. That was a great gag.
Oh my God, because they set him up to make cocoa and then they're trying to rush him through and he's like, "You can't rush good cocoa." And then they're like, "All right, well, we know where we need to go. Let's just go now." And Chris is like, "No, not until not until I serve this cocoa."
Then they're like, "Oh, this is good."
Yeah, this is actually really good cocoa.
The thing that gets Chris and Elise on board is like the telemarketer knows everywhere Dan is and starts calling their house. And so Elise is like, "No, that's not going to fly." So now that's how she gets involved, because that's the only way she's going to get involved is if it affects her.
Exactly. It's like, you can bother Dan, but you call my house. Now it's personal.
They get to the place, the telemarketing agency where Chris used to work or whatever. And Dan had gotten angry at Elise, like in the car, like right there. And he's got like a list of people he hates and wants vengeance against. And he quickly writes her name down on the list. And they're like, "Hey, that guy is my old boss. Like, he'll probably let us in." So she's like, "Okay, be right back." Gets out, beats the hell out of this guy and steals his lanyard. And then Dan's like immediately so quickly erasing her name off the list.
Yeah.
That was so funny. And he was just like, "But that guy was such a nice dude. He probably would have just let us in."
Yeah, poor Mr. Zimmerman. He never hurt anybody. Dan's able to track these calls because they're only coming from one agent back to this one seat. He goes over there and the guy turns around and it's this guy who looks exactly like Dan. And apparently,
but like cleaned up a little bit more.
Yeah, like a cleaned up version of Dan, who I guess, like you were saying, had tried to steal his identity in a previous episode.
Yes. I love that. I like that whole dynamic there of like Dan just losing his crap and how like mellow this guy is about the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And the guy's just a step ahead of him throughout the entire episode. And I thought that was really, really funny. And like how the guy sucks up so much to Chris and Elise, which I think is great. Like, I love that whole part of it, especially when like later on when they try to find out where the guy lives and they're going to confront him there because he just keeps doing everything. They get to his apartment and it's like just a cell phone on a table. And he's like, "See, I knew exactly what you were going to do before you did it." And then he goes, I even know exactly where Chris would stand in the room. And then this trapdoor opens and Chris falls through it. But like all it does is like he falls through this thing and just gets a pie. Like it's just he's just presented with a pie on a table that he eats. And I just love that idea that like this trap was set just to still butter Chris up while like making Dan angry. And I think that's great.
Yeah. Also to distract Chris because he knew he was going to eat the whole pie. And Dan gets mad at him because he's like, wait, you waited to crawl out of that hole until you ate the whole pie. And he's like, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's a pie.
So Dan, he gets gassed, like sleeping gassed, and wakes up in this like,
oh God,
room where so Dan has a cat also who likes to
I
scratch his
literally
face.
yelled out loud during this part. I was like, ah.
And Dan's the guy who poses as Dan was dressed up as a cat like in his room, and it's just a really weird scene.
Yeah. Oh, just it was the idea that like Dan's in this bed and he's like getting up and you see a cat walk into frame. But then the cat stands up and it's the guy. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
It was just so disturbing. So Elise, because she's Ninja Elise and she's the greatest thing ever, realizes that there's a transmitter in Dan's molar. And she rips. She's like, I'm just going to pull it right off. It should be easy. There's not going to be any pain. But she tears the tooth out. But it's not because she was too rough. It was because his teeth are so gross and so fragile.
Yeah, she's like,
it
Dan's
just ripped
teeth are
right
so
out. She's
brittle.
Like, you gotta brush your teeth, man.
Like they go to the telemarketer's actual house this time, which is like directly connected with the house that he led them to in the first place. It was the apartment
right below the one he trapped him in.
And so they go to the house and they trap Chris and Elise there with another pie. And then he jumps out the window, the telemarketer, and runs to the police station. Okay, and here's the part where it connects to the first episode. When he gets to the police station, when we go into it, you see the librarian from the first episode being arrested and like taken to a cell.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it was just a really like fast, like passing scene, but it's that librarian from episode 1.
That's awesome. I love that. That's very cool.
Dan's in there and he gets tased and then arrested. Like that's where it wraps up. But it's like, is it a happy ending? But in Dan's mind, it is, because he'll be in jail for 6 weeks where he can't get any more calls from a telemarketer. And like he uses his one call to call the telemarketer and tell him that he feels like he won because no one can call him now. And so telemarketer's just fishing like on a boat somewhere. And just like, man, that guy really should learn to let stuff go.
Yeah.
And just continues on like that with the scene. Well, Chris, it looks like it's about time we let our inner kids go with Dan on one of his anger-fueled revenge quests, so they can learn how to appropriately deal with everyday problems later in life. Then see what they thought of the show, Dan Versus.
I thought this cartoon would be really stupid, but it was more like looking into the future. I know deep down that when I grow up, I want to be just like Dan. Or do I want to be Chris? He gets the girl. But anyway, I gave this cartoon 5 bowls of werewolf sneaker cereal out of 5.
My expectations were admittedly low coming into this cartoon, as I don't usually care for characters whose main shtick is to be angry. Luckily, even though Dan being mad at everything is the core concept of this show, there was actually a lot more to it that did appeal to me. The smart writing, the absurd, sometimes even fantastical adventures, and the side characters, especially Chris and Elise, really helped to make what could have been a one-note show into something really special. Overall, I'd give Dan Versus 5 big bowls of dark and secret history cereal out of 5, and recommend you check this one out.
Yeah, as I said before, I really just honestly thought this was going to be bad. I really did, and I was so wrong. This was such a fun show, and even though Dan is like an unlikable character, you like watching him go over the top with his anger and his revenge schemes. It's like you can dislike him, but love the ridiculous things that happen because of him.
Yeah, he's a catalyst for a chaos that's more of a fun chaos. And it's one of those things where like it went from, with his anger, from funny at first to a little annoying, and then it kept happening so much that it became funny again. So I just kept appreciating it after that because of the random events that it would draw up.
I was trying to think of like another example of a character like Dan and what this cartoon reminds me of. And to be in all honesty, I feel like there is a slight bit of Rick and Morty to it in that, like, I can see the disposition of Dan is very similar to Rick, except if Rick was a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And really lazy and didn't actually want to do anything. Like, that is Dan and that anger and everything like that. Like, there's a little bit of that Dan Harmon kind of humor to this show. I think is the best way I can describe how I feel about it. And I like that a lot. I really appreciate it. And as I said before, I honestly love Elise's character so much because she's just that randomly like stealthy ninja assassin. For as far as we know, there's no explanation for it. I kind of hope there isn't because I think that'd be great. But like, she was just so much fun. She was the best part of this whole thing. I would watch a show about her, honestly. It was great.
Yeah, she's basically a secret Kim Possible while all of this is going on. And like no one has any idea. It's just happening behind the scenes of all of these events that are transpiring.
And I just love that they don't address it, at least in the episodes we watched. There's no reason given, and I think that's great. But yeah, it's a really fun watch if you haven't seen it. Don't be like me and judge it by, the cover or whatever. Just give it a shot. I definitely recommend it.
Give this one a try because I think you'll really be surprised in the same way that we were because, we went in with this chip on our shoulder, but came out really having a lot of fun.
Exactly.
So thank you, Patrick, for suggesting this.
Yes. Thank you so much, Patrick. And before we go, we have another 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Nice.
With a comment by Rescue Ranger M. And it says, happiness in a podcast. Hi, Emily again. This is her writing, not me. I'm not introducing myself as having changed my name to Emily. I'm saying, you guys get it. You get it. Anyway, hi, Emily again. I just left a review on Party in Peril. Thanks, Emily. She continues on, I just want to say thanks for all the smiles and giggles you two bring to me. I love watching the cartoons you guys review. Hilda is one of my new favorites because of this podcast. My top 2 cartoons are Steven Universe and Infinity Train. Anyway, I just wanted to leave you guys 5 stars and say thanks in big caps. So thank you so much, Emily. That was awesome.
Yes, thank you. I love when we can help introduce somebody to a new show.
Oh, Hilda was adorable. And now we're going to have to do Infinity Train. I don't know anything about that one.
But if her other favorite show is Steven Universe, which is one of my all-time favorite shows, and she likes Hilda, it's got to be kind of in that same wheelhouse. So I am totally in.
I feel like they've got some similar qualities to it. I'm right now making my way through all of Steven Universe because of that vow we made to each other, Joseph, where we cut our hands and slapped our hands together and to make a blood vow that I will watch all of Steven Universe and you will watch all of Avatar: The Last Airbender before the year is over. Man, that is the goals. So you better get cracking, buddy. You better get cracking
before this year's over, right?
Yep, before this year's over.
I've got time.
But yeah, we'll add Infinity Train to the list because that sounds cool. I recognize the name, but I don't know anything about it, so I'm interested to check that out. But thank you again, Emily. That's super cool.
Well, listeners, it looks like our milk supply is now we're dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And in 2 weeks, we'll be watching
DuckTales from 2018, suggested by Mike Root via YouTube and Lexa.here via Instagram.
Yes, nice. I've watched a couple episodes of that, and I enjoyed them.
Of the new one?
Yeah, of the newest one.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see how it continues.
And I heard that they're getting ready to remake Darkwing Duck also.
I think I heard that too, and I'm pretty sure Darkwing actually makes an appearance in this new DuckTales show. So
nice.
If so, I definitely want to watch that episode if that's an option.
So what you're saying is the Chinese Zodiac got it wrong. It's not the year of the rat. This is the year of the duck.
It is year of the duck, baby.
Yeah, get that duck sauce ready because we're doing DuckTales.
So wait,
I don't know.
Are we going to eat the ducks?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. Duck's pretty gamey.
I don't know. Uncle Scrooge is pretty old. I think it'll be a little rich.
Oh,
dad jokes. Let's go. Let's leave.
Time to leave.
Yep. Well, once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you in 2 Saturdays.
Presented by Nerdsloth,
a place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.